Greetings, everyone! I'm Lucky Tremendous, and welcome back to the very first review on my new YouTube channel. I'm so glad you all could join us today, as I'm super jazzed to be doing this for you guys. Today, I'm going to be starting a hopefully long-running series about me talking about a particular episode of a show that I've decided to tackle. Now, these shows will range from animated series to live-action series, and I will only be doing one series at a time, possibly two series if this continues to be going well, but for right now, I'll just do one series at a time. And I believe that the very first show I've decided to tackle for you guys is one that you guys will find absolutely awesome. Firstly, I'm going to be tackling the hit drama on AMC, The Walking Dead. Ah, yes, The Walking Dead, yay! Well, AMC's The Walking Dead is one of the greatest and most well-received drama shows of the 21st century, holding many things that all people would love to watch on TV: romance, action, well-written stories, engaging characters. It has everything that a young TV-holic like myself would love to enjoy. I've been a fan of The Walking Dead franchise since 2012 and have been watching every episode since. The television series first aired in Halloween of 2010 to thunderous applause. The show, based off the equally successful graphic novel by Robert Kirkman, stars a variety of characters trying to survive in an apocalyptic world run by zombies, or as this universe calls them, walkers. Because in this universe, zombie movies never existed. They don't know what a zombie is. To them, this is the first time of them ever hearing of something like this. The series was produced and developed for AMC by none other than film legend Frank Darabont. If you guys don't know who Frank Darabont is, he helped create amazing films such as The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. When pitched to AMC, they eagerly accepted and automatically greenlit the show for 6 episodes. These 6 episodes are at least a handful of some of the best episodes of the whole series, but we'll get to those eventually. I will like to begin today by talking about the very first episode of the series, Days Gone By. Personally, one of my favorite episodes, and I cannot wait to share it and all the information I have about it with you guys. Without further ado, let's dig into episode 1 of season 1 of The Walking Dead, Days Gone By. The episode begins actually in the middle of it, because we have a prologue takes place in the middle of the first episode's story. It's here where we meet our main character, Sheriff's Deputy Rick Grimes, played by Andrew Lincoln, as he scavenges for supplies at an abandoned gas station as he's trying to find fuel for his vehicle. He stumbles upon a deserted camp with toys and trash littered about. It's actually a pretty eerie sight. When he learns that there's no gas or supplies to be found, he prepares on his way, but not before he spots a little girl picking up a teddy bear off the ground. He tries to get her attention, but it's later revealed she's a zombie. But wait, if she's dead, how could she pick a teddy bear off the ground? You know what? I'm just going to ignore it. She then charges at him, and he begins to panic. He takes out his iconic Colt Python revolver, aims it at her, and shoots her in the head, as the opening theme music starts to play. I'd like to talk about the theme song. The theme song of The Walking Dead is hands down one of my favorite openings of any show. The very fast pace and dramatic music really helps build tension and prepare you for what's to come every single week. While the opening images that happen with the theme song, character names and set pieces with that same season change every year, the theme song never does. We listen to the exact same song every single week, and I just frickin' love it. Returning to several weeks prior, Rick is severely injured while chasing down criminals alongside his partner and childhood friend, Shane Walsh, played by the amazing Jon Bernthal, who you guys may remember as the Punisher in Marvel's The Punisher, Night at the Museum 2, Baby Driver, The Wolf of Wall Street. The list is endless. This is all before, actually this is all after, they decided to have a conversation in their car what the difference is between men and women, where we learn that Rick and his wife Lori have been having marital problems as of late, and mostly in front of their young son Carl. During the shootout, like I said, Rick is very much injured as he is shot in the back, causing him to fall into a coma. Hospitalized as a result of this injury, Rick experiences a series of dreamlike encounters with friends and family as he lavishes in a blissfully ignorant coma. When he regains consciousness, he finds the hospital completely abandoned and horrifically ransacked. The walls sprayed with blood, destroyed equipment everywhere, and dead bodies littered throughout the hallway. You know, some fan theorists would maybe think that this is still part of his crazy dream, that he's going to wake up at any moment. Yeah, that theory was debunked years ago, I'm afraid. Although I must say, the very eerie images that they're trying to convey, they're working. He walks past a set of double doors secured with heavy chains and it's spray painted with the ominous warning, "Don't open, dead inside." It's actually one of the coolest things this show has ever done and one of the best images they have. From the far side of the secured doors, Rick hears growling while inside an unknown menace pushes against the locked doors. Fearing for his life, he tries to make his way outside. However, since he can't use the elevator, he goes down the severely awful smelling stairs until he gets outside. There he finds scores of dead bodies, some covered in makeshift body bags, others strewn about randomly. Yes, this is something that only a madman like Stephen King would think of. As he trots to make his way home in his nightgown, he sees a zombified woman dragging her legless body towards him as he tries to pick up a bike to ride home. He ignores her, but still quite terrified as he makes his way home, finding that his wife and son have long since left. He yells their names at the top of their lungs, crying and sobbing to himself, even questioning if he's still in some kind of freakish nightmare. And this is when I really began to notice that, holy crap, this guy is a really good actor. Right from the get-go, Andrew Lincoln's performance was completely amazing. I would honestly not consider this the performance of the very first episode of the series. This was real commitment right here, and I have to applaud him for it. Outside on the steps of his house, right before he's about to be attacked by a zombie, Rick encounters Morgan Jones, played by the awesomeness of Lenny James, and his son Dwayne, and they explain the zombie apocalypse that occurred while Rick was in a coma, but not before they hit him over the head with a shovel, tie him to a bed, threaten to cut him with a knife. Yeah, Morgan is kind of cool, not gonna lie. Lenny James' performance is actually quite awesome. Like Andrew Lincoln, he's a Briton playing an American role, and it's made pretty clear from the get-go that their accents are very artificial. Rick questions everything Morgan tells him, but it's made pretty clear that it's all true, no matter how crazy it must sound. Morgan warns the only way to stop the zombies is to destroy the brain, and cautions the zombies are attracted to noise. We later learn that Morgan's wife was bitten, infected, and died from the zombie outbreak, and Morgan was unable to put her down due to, well, him just not having it in him. The next morning, as I said, Morgan teaches Rick to destroy the brain to attack a zombie, and we see Rick's first walker kill as he bashes its head in with a baseball bat. Now, put this image in your mind. Rick on his knees being too weak to stand after fighting it, somebody beating somebody's head in with a baseball bat. Keep that image in your mind. After they return back to Rick's house, Rick tells Morgan that all of his family photos are gone, meaning that his wife and son made it out somewhere. After discussing it a little bit with the two, Rick decides to head to Atlanta, where he's told that a refugee camp is rumored to exist, though Morgan would just rather stay behind and play it safe. Rick, Morgan, and Dwayne go to the sheriff's department headquarters where Rick used to work and take some weapons, radios, ammunition, and a patrol car, but not before getting the first shower any of them have had in the last month. While there, Rick encounters a zombified former colleague of himself, one of the officers that he was on duty with when he was shot. He looks at him very somberly as he realizes that one of his good friends is dead and takes it upon himself to take him out by putting a bullet through his head, which is actually another change from the books. You see, in the books, Rick did not kill the walker that was outside the fences of the police station. He just left it there. I actually do prefer this change. Rick splits the stash of weapons and ammunition from the police station with Morgan, and promises to stay in touch with him via a walkie-talkie whenever they decide to leave the neighborhood and head towards Atlanta to follow him. "I'll turn mine on every day at dawn. You get up there, that's how you find me." Morgan and Dwayne return to their house, which is actually revealed earlier in the episode to be one of Rick's neighbors, and they're just staying in it. Morgan, now armed with a sniper rifle that Rick gave him, perched in a second-story window of their house, starts to fire at the zombies wandering the streets outside, hoping to get his undead wife's attention. He knows what he has to do. While Dwayne sits nervously downstairs, unsure why Morgan is shooting out the window, it becomes clear that Morgan is trying to attract his wife. I mean, yeah, he's wasting bullets and putting them all in danger, but his conscience will be clear, though. And, of course, after a while, his wife does come into view, drawn to the noise of the gunfire. Morgan gets ready to shoot her in the head, but he's unable to do it. And as a result, she escapes from him. Morgan breaks down crying at basically everything that's happened over the last day or two. And for the moment, folks, this is the last time we're going to be seeing Morgan, as he disappears from the series for at least a couple years due to Lenny James' increasingly busy schedule. But don't worry, it's not the end for Morgan. On his way out of town, Rick stops by the legless zombie woman. He then looks down at her very sad and apologizes for what happened to her, but not before shooting her in the head. I love how this episode so perfectly captures its source material. It only gets sadder as the series goes on, I'm afraid, but we'll get to that later. Later, he's forced to abandon his car as we catch up to where the prologue was when he runs out of gas, continuing the rest of the way on foot. He comes into a nice house where he finds the couple inside has committed suicide, of which, though, he finds a horse out back and, after talking to it, yes, really, persuades it to take him to Atlanta. He continues the rest of the way on horseback. Boy. Jeez. However, actually, while he rides on horseback, fun fact, the scene where they were filming Andrew Lincoln riding on the horse down the road a ways, his hat, his sheriff hat, actually flew off his head, and the special effects guys actually had to physically put the hat back on his head, like via special effects. I thought that was actually pretty cool. When he tries to radio Morgan the next day via his police radio, his signal is picked up by a survivors camp headed by basically at least a majority or at least half of the rest of the main cast we're going to meet this season. We meet a young woman named Amy, who is actually one of the first minor characters of the series, played by Emma Bell, and another main character, Dale Horvath, played by the awesome Jeffrey DeMunn, a frequent collaborator of Frank Darabont. We also learn at the camp is occupied by none other than Shane himself, and Rick's wife and son, Lori and Carl, played by Sarah Wayne Callies and Chandler Riggs, respectively. They're safe and sound, after all. Unaware that Rick is on the other line, they lose the signal before they can warn him of the dangers inside Atlanta. Lori suggested that they should put up signs on 85 to lure people away from the city, saying that folks have no idea what they're getting into. Shane and Dale both say no. Shane goes to try and calm her down, and it's revealed that Shane told Lori that Rick was dead, and then proceeds to kiss her on the lips. Ooh, Rick is not going to be happy when he gets back. No, he's not. And these first few scenes of both Lori and Carl are very brief, but you can definitely see that, like most of the actors in the first season, they were doing a bang-up job. Even 10-year-old Chandler Riggs was actually doing as awesome a job as his adult co-stars. Not gonna lie. In the seemingly empty city of Atlanta, literally, the entire city is completely empty, and Rick is beginning to lose hope, feeling very uneasy again. However, he sees a helicopter flying in the windows of a giant skyscraper. He follows the flying bird overhead right into a massive herd of hundreds of zombies down Main Street. They attack him and his horse before he can manage to get away, forcing him to drop his bag of guns and his hat on the ground and crawl under a nearby abandoned tank, and as they follow him underneath it. Rick contemplates suicide after he runs out of bullets, only having one left in his chamber, a split second before noticing there's a trap door underneath the tank. Well, phew, the series was almost over right before it started. Realizing that there's still a walker inside, he shoots it, but with the gun noise right next to his ear, it's actually quite painful. However, quickly sealing himself inside the tank, after he shoots the walker, contemplating what his next move should be, he hears a voice from the tank's radio sarcastically asking him if he's cozy in there. Before the scene exits with the top view of Atlanta overrun by walkers as the zombified horde rips the horse apart and starts to eat it, as a very catchy song called Space Junk plays to the audience as the episode fades to black. I gotta say, guys, Days Gone By is a great episode. The pacing is exquisite. The attention to detail from the comic book to the show is so well done. I have to give them props no matter what. Immediately from the jump, I knew that this was going to be a series worth sticking around for the long run. You could tell the care and the nurturing that the actors and creators were trying to give to this show. Hell, the original script for this episode was 60 pages long, but they had to cut it down for time and time slot reasons. It was supposed to be so much more massive. We get a very good sense of the first 6 or 7 characters that will be part of the main cast. Rick Grimes is about your every average small-town cop who's been thrust into a main role. He doesn't look like a hero, but trust me, he is. We get a first instance of Shane. Shane seems like a really fun and quirky best friend, but you get the feeling that there's something very sinister beneath it, like a very deceptive tone that will be conveyed throughout the series. Morgan is actually, even though he has one of the smallest lines in the episode of a main character, it actually sets him up for the next 10 or so years-ish, if you can say that. You can see that he's a guy that just wants to do the right thing and keep his loved ones safe, but it's made pretty clear he's a very weak person of weak in will. Somebody you would suspect would survive, but you'll eventually see. And what little we see of the other 3 main characters we're introduced to, Dale, Lori, and Carl, is not much, but you can clearly see that they're pretty much decent people. Lori is a bit aggressive and kind of standoffish. Carl is just a kid. We haven't really learned much about him yet, but trust me, there'll be so much more to learn. And Dale kind of seems like second in command to Shane a bit, but as we'll know, he's pretty much the old man that just sits around the camp. It's actually quite amazing. I think that the cast was very well picked, not going to lie. The film setting of Atlanta is really amazing to consider. The show sealed off 13 blocks of the actual city of Atlanta to film the first season and part of the second season. But they were not expecting the heat to be as excruciating as it was during the summers 10 years ago, my friends. The heat was over 100 almost every day, and every character was hot and messy. It's very much evident when you can see the beads of sweat dripping from the characters' heads as the first few episodes of this show goes on. I gotta say, they really did their homework on this one. Not going to lie. The episode was very much well received, with fans like me calling it a very great episode, saying many things about it, how it was very well written, it was very well shot, but of course a few people had a few criticisms here and there, like, for example, Andrew Lincoln's American accent. It's very dodgy and kind of shifts in and out for a few scenes here and there, but I believe we can give it to him. He's never really acted in America before. I believe he's only ever done one American film that I can remember seeing. Mind you, I haven't seen Andrew Lincoln in a lot of things, so I can't very much well be sure, but I know he was in Love, Actually, a really nice love movie. The episode was actually nominated and won several awards shortly after it aired, including Golden Reel Awards, Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Awards. It was nominated and won many great things. I can't say enough how amazing the first episode of The Walking Dead is, and having told you guys about it now just makes me even more excited to talk about it later. And that, my friends, was my initial reaction and my very first video for you guys as a critic on YouTube. I would just like to reiterate The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 1, Days Gone By is a great episode. I would highly recommend it for you guys to watch on Netflix. And stay tuned for more videos like this on my channel. If you like my reviews, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome reviews and more in-depth discussions on television shows, movies, both animated and live action. And, like I said, guys, I'm Lucky Tremendous, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!